Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. And as I said, I was going to wait out this stun on Sinashira in between recordings, but look at this. We have a straggler Glabrezu attacking us. I had a feeling in that fight that we only have defeated one Glabrezu, but kind of paid attention to the other things that were going on. And I'm also kind of surprised that we were able to save the game, because I save and quit, now I returned to wait out the stun and prepare for the next recording, and there he is, interrupting all of our plans. So of course with Glabrezus with their 4 attacks per round, he cannot be left alone here. We have to intervene to save Sinashira. She still has stone skins, fortunately, but he cannot be left alone there. So he already activated his mirror images, and we have this sequencer with double magic missiles on Imoen that should cut down the number of his mirror images. Of course, Glabrezus have 50% magic resistance, so some of these projectiles of Imoen are going to get nullified, but we should still have some success with it. And Edwin is just going to unleash normal magic missiles, I think. And we'll try to just step in there and get rid of him before he can cause much trouble. Alright, Sinashira is with us again, so that was just in time. Let's actually keep with the magic missiles. Alright, cool. So, yeah, this Glabrezu must have gotten stuck along the way, and let's actually go and see if there are any stragglers or people that haven't like engaged in this fight properly. And it seems like this lower level priestess, perhaps we got out of her vision before he actually switched from neutral to hostile. I think that's why she may have not joined the fight properly. But she's a lower level priestess. She doesn't have any higher level buffs, so I think it wouldn't have made a big difference anyway. Right, actually you can go into melee Animen. Yeah, no problem. And that's the whole encounter here at the door. We cannot open in any way, and it actually, I think, has a different description here. Yeah, it's sealed by drow sorcery. Anyway, we're not going to loot her elven chain. I think I didn't elaborate on the fact why I'm not picking up the drow equipment for selling purposes, but actually it doesn't sell well at all. I am going to pick up a few examples just so we can see that once we go to a merchant. First I'm just going to pick up the other things, and then we're going to check the drow equipment. And yeah, here are the specific bolts that the drow have. Alright, here we have another Nishru, which is actually going to be useful. Yeah, drow bolts of stunning. They are a little different from the Kuo-toa bolts, and we are going to try to use them as long as we are in the Underdark, because if you remember, once we go back to the surface, the drow equipment gets destroyed by the sunlight. So this is our chance to use it. Alright, here we also have some drow full plate mails. And yeah, let's pick up all they've had here, and then give it to Edwin for identification. Alright, and we still had this flail. Alright, so of course the drow full plate, I think I'm going to hold on to one more of them in case we want to use it on Animen. Let's actually switch their boots now. Yeah, this elven chain and drow full plate we're going to sell, just to showcase their low prices. The crossbows the drow have are really cool. They are +3 enchanted crossbows with an extra attack per round on it. And normally I value extra attacks very highly, and they are extremely good to have. But I think on Imoen I'm going to still stick to Firetooth crossbow with its massive Thaco boost, which actually is nice for Imoen, and you know, the extreme damage that you can stack on it. So I think it's still going to be worth it more to use Firetooth, but I think I might hold on to this in case we want to interrupt someone with an extra attack, and you know, when we equipped like bolts of lightning or something. I don't know. It's I'm probably not going to switch to it, but we might as well hold on to it. And then they have some +3 weapons like the flails and long swords. Nothing too special about them. And then just +1 bolts. So we're going to just sell these. And we are done here in the Western Tunnels now. We have brought destruction to everything we could here. And also about that double spell shield that we have encountered in the previous episode, I actually did some tests in between recordings and double and triple checked the whole thing, because I was in doubt whether I was going crazy or not, and that was indeed an anomaly. Apparently, the pre-buff category of spells, you know, that first spell shield is kind of treated differently because it belongs to that pre-buff group of spells, and then when they apply another spell shield, it actually stacks, whereas normally when you apply a second spell shield, if you already have one, it just gets the previous one gets just overridden by the new one, and once that's dispelled, you don't have a spell shield anymore. And also one more thing that I wanted to talk about is that there was a request in the comments that I showcase some of the equipment that we've been holding on and I wasn't really using, and it's mostly a couple of the horns that we have somewhere here. Yeah, these ones primarily. And I am going to try to fulfill that request as best I can. I'm going to try to find some good opportunities to at least get some value out of these items, but I also wanted to take a moment to talk about why we didn't really make use of these. That's because some of the items that we've gotten, especially with SCS active, are not too good to begin with. Like this Horn of Silence, for example. It doesn't offer any saving throw penalties on it, and with SCS especially, you know, enemies have very good saving throws typically, and it's just generally not worth the round to use this, especially since we have Namara, which is a better type of silence. Not only is it party friendly, but also comes with that -5 saving throw penalty on it, and this one is not only you know, not party friendly, it affects everyone in the area, but also doesn't have any saving throw penalties. I am going to try to stack it with Namara maybe in some situation, but also when it comes to silence in SCS, it's generally not that useful. It's still useful when it comes to clerics and druids mostly, and some creatures that cannot dispel it, but when it comes to mages, for example, not only are they always basically pre-buffed with at least minor globe or globe that make it, you know, impossible to affect them with these silencing spells, but even if they do get affected with them, because there are some higher level silence effects, and you know, if they get dispelled, they are going to be able to be affected by silence, but they all have vocalized memorized. So at the best, you can take a mage out for one round with such an effect. Now this Iron Horn of Valhalla. Now this item is a clear example, as well as Kithix here, who has it? Anoman has that, the Black Spider figurine. Those are basically items that are way past the time when they could have been useful. Kithix is just an extremely weak summon. It can still work fine as cannon fodder, but you know, if you need cannon fodder just to take someone's attention and be a distraction, the Wand of Monster Summoning is going to give better results, or some other summons that you can memorize. And the Horn of Valhalla, even if it's fully upgraded and you have that level 9 Berserker, the deal breaker for me, why I don't really like to use it so much, is that you lose control when that warrior uses his Enrage mechanic. So it makes him immune to certain status effects, I think, but the loss of control over him is very, very detrimental in my mind. You have to find a good moment to unleash him somewhere on the side where he can kind of do his own thing, buy you some time before he gets killed. But yeah, we're going to find some spot where he can be a decent sacrificial lamb, I guess. And this Horn of Blasting I actually wanted to showcase here in a second. We also don't need these quest items here. While I'm looking at the equipment, we can already get rid of some of this stuff. Alright, it seems like everything else we do need, or it's worth holding on to. Alright, so now the next part of what we're going to do is we're going to clear out the rest of this area here. There are 2 more fights that we need to do. Some more Kuo-toa. We will basically get rid of the last group of them and complete our apocalypse of the Kuo-toan race. But first we're going to buff up Seneschal again. And I think what we can do is we can give her this protection from fire as well. And we're going to try to unleash some decent spells here. I'm going to give this horn to Karenai, I think. She can try to use it. Senashira still has stone skins, doesn't really need anything else. Oh, well, actually, we might even... we're going to want to cast with Senashira right away, I think. And we're going to give these boots of speed to... perhaps Imoen. She has still her own Sunfire, right? Yeah. Alright. Oh yeah, she's encumbered. There's going to be that group of Kuo-toa right here somewhere, yeah. Here's their leader. We're not going to be able to talk to him, and there are some pretty funny responses in the conversation that we can use here. That sounded far too hostile for my liking, creature. This isn't going to end well, is it? And this inevitably, of course, leads to a fight. Alright, and there's basically kind of like two groups of them separated by a bridge, and we're going to try to bring all of them together here. Alright, they have a wizard of their own here. Let's try to unleash a little Sunfire here, and when they bunch up, I want to actually get a little Greater Malison going, I think, and then we're going to unleash some other stuff. Alright, so Imoen, do your thing. There was a slight bit of lag indicating, I think, that the other group spawned here and loaded their SCS scripts. Yeah, here they come. So let's actually treat them to a little Greater Malison here. And I actually wanted Anomen to unleash a Greater Command at them. Also, we were affected by Blind. Imoen is not going to be able to do much now. Yeah, our Greater Malison is now in effect, and we might try to unleash this Horn of Blasting. You know, as you can see, no saving throw penalties, but the Kuo-toa can be affected by its stun component. It also actually knocks back a little bit, so we'll see how effective that is on the debuffed Kuo-toa here. And we might get some value out of it. Alright, how's that leader doing? Near death? Alright, so boom. I think some of them might have gotten stunned. A lot of them seems to have saved. Yeah. So as you can see, you know, limited usefulness of that kind of item, but at least, you know, we have showcased how it works. And I am going to try to, like, showcase everything. Like I said, I want to fulfill that request, but still I want to find, like, at least some decently appropriate places to unleash these items. Now, who do we have here? We have that backstabbing whip. I guess here there's a priest and a wizard, but we don't have to worry, I think, about them for a little while. We might bring Edwin and unleash a fireball to slow them down over there a little bit. Yeah, Imoen, since she is blinded, she would have to go, like, very close to unleash some stuff. So the ranged spells are not going to be that great, but she still has our Boots of Haste, so we might actually showcase a little delayed blast fireball. Should be able to unleash it here. She still has stone skins. Yeah, everyone is protected except Karenai. So let's keep her at a distance. Alright, as you can see, nice damage, especially on the vulnerable Kuo-toa here. Alright, Senashira doesn't have her stone skins anymore, and she is getting damaged quite badly here. And since we are going to rest after this, we are going to have to rest. Alright, she doesn't have any more stone skins. At least get that shield active, because I forgot to rebuff spirit armor. Yeah, now we have more important things to do on Edwin. I want to stun some of these guys. And so that Precept Sanctuary, there is still that mage that we should be able to affect with a nice power word stun. Alright, there he goes. What the Horn of Blasting could not achieve, Power Word Stun without any saving throws allowed, is going to achieve. Alright, this Skeleton Warrior, lower level version of it, doesn't really matter. Alright, now we need to just go in and take care of these guys, and it's going to be it. Yeah, that mage is nicely stunned. We can finish him off at our leisure. Alright, boom. And here we're going to be able to scavenge some more of these nice bolts that they have. Right, but first let's just quickly rearrange our stuff, how it's supposed to be. Let's actually bunch up everybody.
I can hold no more. That item has been dropped.
I'm going to have to remember about these bolts, because we only have 2 of them. Imoen is going to run out of them very soon, very quickly, and then she's going to switch to like no ammo on Firetooth, I think by default, so we're going to have to stack it with some other stuff. And here are the 2 passages, to the southern tunnels and to the eastern ones. So we're going to explore that very soon, but there's one more encounter here that we can do. If you remember Gaunt of Riatavin, he mentioned a drow ambush in the east that he was able to fled. I guess in a narrow escape he was able to get out of trouble with his life. Here I think we're going to haste. This is going to be a physical damage fight. There's going to be a drow ambush, and of course, since the drow have such high magic resistance, the only thing that we can really do when it comes to spells, reliably with them, is to either use some cloud spells that, you know, stay for 10 rounds, so at least they have a chance to, you know, over time deal some damage to them, but I'm not going to do that. And of course, Firestorm, that is an AoE spell that bypasses magic resistance, but we don't have any of them anymore. And I actually forgot to unleash this greater command on the Kuo-toa. They are vulnerable to that effect. Yeah, here we're not going to concern ourselves too much with using spells, of course, against the drow, and I think mostly they are just fighters, like drow soldiers. So you know what, we're going to offer them a little distraction. And I think use our Horn of Valhalla and Kithix. So you can unleash that. Anoman actually might do something else. Yeah, our mages are not going to be too useful.
What is it?
Alright, so let's approach a little bit.
Tell me all about it.
Maybe try to already
Ready and willing.
summon some stuff on the other end of the bridge. Right, and here they come. A drow war party teleports into the area, the stench of sinister magic pervading all. Yeah, so there are some drow. Here we have that berserk warrior, and once he enrages, we kind of lose control over him. And yeah, I think they have some priestesses with them, but they are mostly just drow soldiers. Let's have that spider over there for some additional distractions, and let's just go in and try to interrupt the priestesses here. Actually, let's give them a chance. The priestesses a chance to activate their pre-buffs. Yeah, they're not too high level. The berserker here should buy us a little bit of time. I think Imoen is still out of range to summon Kithix, so let's summon him in the middle of the bridge. And I'm not really positioned too well.
Yes?
Have you nothing else to do but bother me?
Yep.
Yeah, because she is not blinded anymore. Alright, here comes Kithix.
You can count on me. What is it?
Yeah, they fall down pretty easily. Anoman actually got affected by their own greater command, I believe. Yeah. Because he doesn't have his greater commands anymore.
Speak.
Yeah, so our Berserker Warrior fighting the good fight over there. We're going to get back to you guys in a second.
Next time.
Wow, Senashira is really missing her attacks here.
Yes, without.
Finally, Senashira, you're supposed to be our main character here. Like, put some effort into your swings.
Politically and precise.
Yes, I go.
Speak.
Nature, take the life she gave!
Bah! Useless weapon.
Useless weapon. So yeah, that's the last encounter, and here we will have both the passage to the Drow City and passage to Adelon, but we're not going to take it just yet.
Will not take long.
Right, we're just going to scavenge what we can. I don't think these guys have any stunning bolts. I guess since we're going to sell some Drow weapons, we might as well sell them in bulk as much as we can. And there was also something that we haven't seen yet, this shield. Just a shield +3. Decent enough, I guess. But by this time, it is very likely that you're going to have some better stuff. Alright, we might sell one more of these crossbows. Alright, they did have some bolts of stunning. That's nice. I think the armors should sell the best, I think.
can hold no more. That item has been dropped.
So at least let's have that going.
I am ready.
Speak if it must be done.
And yeah, since this is the last thing we were about to do, let's just teleport to the inn, and we're going to rest here. And this is going to be very important. I think we're going to rest twice, actually, to set up our contingencies and sequencers that we are going to need. Alright, the full plate mails have to be identified by Edwin, so let's do that quickly here. Just stack everything we need to stack. And I think that's it. Alright, so let's just take a look at how much these things sell for. And he has like premium prices, by the way, so yeah, not too great. 105, I think. Yeah, the full plate mails at least sell for 245. You know, if you loot everything and stash it in your bag of holding, you can get some gold out of it, but it doesn't really matter all that much. And Soul Reaver we're not going to use either, so we can sell that as well. Some more money for the future, for future purchases and crafting expenses. Alright, so here what we're going to do, the next target of ours are these southern tunnels that are going to lead us into yet another Beholder Hive. And this one actually is the real deal. That one is the death zone, because there we will meet some special types of beholders, which are quite insane in with SCS, especially on board. So for that we're going to have to prepare. And I will have to carefully select the spells I want here. So I'm going to cut the recording here because I want to think about this and, you know, select the spells I want. I'm going to have to think about what I need, and then I'm going to be right back with my selections all done, and then we're going to talk about that. So see you in a moment. And we're back, and just to give you a little overview of what I've done here. Senashira was affected the most by the different spell selections. So at level 1 she has all the protection from petrification we're going to need. At level 2 she has double glitter dust for a certain minor sequencer I'm going to set up. Normally that would be a thing that we would have on Edwin, and I think we are going to have another one on Edwin to take advantage of his conjurer saving throw penalties that he's going to impose on his enemies. But we're also going to have this on Senashira because in a certain situation where I want to release this minor sequencer with Senashira, Edwin is going to be busy casting something else. And Glitter Dust we're choosing because blindness is one of the few status effects that beholders are vulnerable to. And they have a saving throw versus spell of 5 here, I think. So the chance of them getting affected by that is pretty minor, but still, it's something. Here at level 4 we have triple secret word for a spell sequencer that I plan on having on her. And then at level 5 we're going to need more spell shields against the beholders. There's also a certain purpose to this breach and to this spell immunity. So I tried to, select these spells as best I could to basically almost every spell to have a purpose here. And this is what this place requires of you here. So I tried to think this through. Anyway, here we're going to have a contingency that we're going to set up on Senashira, and these Nishru spells and a Hackashar that I'm going to memorize on Senashira in a little bit. We're going to elaborate on these choices a little bit later, and the amounts I've memorized are likely to be complete overkill, but still, let's have some fun with it. And here we're going to have a limited wish that we're going to use in the Beholder Hive at one point. Now on Animan here, I've given myself another Skeletal Warrior. Just 3 should be more than enough. I'm not going to really rely on that kind of strategy. Of course, it is viable to just summon yourself an army of these and, buff them up, haste them, and have them do some work for you. But we're not going to do that. Also, I've kept this greater command. Of course, it has no saving throw penalties, and it's not that likely to work, but it is a status effect that beholders are vulnerable to, so perhaps we're going to use that at some point. Also, I cut back on the Bolts of Glory here, going back to the usual selection, and of course the Firestorms are going to be crucial in where we're going. Alright, on Imoen now. There weren't that many changes, but here we have a triple Ice Storm sequencer in mind, a spell sequencer that she's going to learn in a second, and memorize that. She also has a minor sequencer that she's going to set up. Also on both Imoen and Edwin we have gotten their spell shields back instead of the Sunfire. And here at level 6 we're also going to have some True Sight, also on Senashira, once she unmemorizes that contingency, once she doesn't need that. And yeah, here we're going to memorize that spell sequencer. And on Edwin, there were some changes. Yeah, here we have double Polymorph Self on him. We also have one Ice Storm. He's going to have quite a few different cloud spells that we might take advantage of. He's also going to set up his minor sequencer. Yeah, he's back to having a spell shield. Here, since he leveled up, he has another slot in level 6 and level 7, so I've given him this Death Fog here. Here, I've decided to memorize Kako Fiend. We're probably not going to use it, and if we do, it's going to be a last resort type of thing. For us, this is going to summon a Nabasu, which is, I think, a devil and not a demon. A fiend, in any case, that has 50% magic resistance. So, versus a large group of beholders, he's going to absolutely get destroyed. But against a smaller one, perhaps as a last resort we're going to summon him. You can't control demons, and you have to be protected against evil, which of course can be dispelled. So they're kind of tricky to manage in certain situations, but just in case we have one. And he also gained access to level 8, and here I've given him 2 Horrid Wiltings. This is an amazing spell. A very damaging AoE spell that's also party friendly, and it also delivers magical damage, which is pretty much one of the least resisted types of damage out there. And also given him double Power Word Blind, because as we mentioned, blindness is going to be able to affect beholders, and this one doesn't allow a saving throw and is near instant to cast. So we are going to use that and see how it goes. Alright, so now we need to do a little scribing session with Imoen. Of course, we don't want her to fumble the scribing process, so we're going to buff up her intelligence, and she has some spells prepared. She's going to memorize some more along the way, but we're mostly interested in this spell sequencer over here. And I think from Senashira's scroll case there was something that I wanted to... Oh yeah, this Death Fog. We're not going to memorize these level 9 spells right now, and this protection from the elements, well, we'll see about that. Anyway, Death Fog, which I think I'm even going to memorize instead of the Chain Lightning. This is going to be more useful here. And here we need that minor sequencer, of course. Alright, now we're ready to rest. And we're going to be able to set up our stuff now. So Senashira still has that minor sequencer that we need to get rid of, and now on to the casting. So in the spell sequencer, we're going to load it up with triple secret word, because we are going to need some dispelling power. Because where we're going, there are going to be some spellcasting beholders. That we're going to talk more once we encounter them. Alright, here's a minor spell sequencer with the double glitter dust. It's probably not going to work, but at least it's something that we're going to have as an option. And also that contingency, we're going to set it up in a pretty uncommon way. We're going to have the condition on hit, and it's actually, I don't think it's necessary for her to be damaged, actually. For example, if your Stone Skins absorbs the damage, I think it still triggers. Anyway, we're going to give her an additional spell shield. There is a certain kind of plan behind that as well. And now, before I forget, let's unmemorize that and change her spell selections. Here we're going to need a True Sight, and here we can go to her more or less usual selection. And I think that's it. Alright, now on Imwen. She doesn't have anything active. So the minor spell sequencer is going to be the same as she had, with double magic missile to kind of uphold her theme as our damage dealing spellcaster. But the sequencer here, this is going to be a triple ice storm, and there is a certain situation where I will unleash that. Alright, and here, before we forget, she is going to get one polymorph self just in case, and I think she's not going to have that much of an opportunity to hardcast these other ice storms, so I think we might give her one Stone Skin for a certain encounter in there, perhaps. We'll see about that, and here let's go for more overkill with the more Hackashar. Alright, and on Edwin we're just going to set up the minor sequencer with double glitter dust as well. Alright, an additional thing that discourages me, I guess, from affecting the beholders with any debuffs is that they can use their anti-magic rays to dispel each other. But there are going to be certain like smaller groups when I think you can get away with trying to affect them with some debuffs like that. And here we're going to give him what we are going to give to you, this spirit armor. Alright. And now I think we are totally ready.
Yes?
Let me just double check, triple check, quadruple check. I think we are fine everywhere. Alright, so now that we have everything set up, let's just refresh our spells and go in. I at least want to enter the Beholder Hive before we totally run out of time. Of course, the juicy like main fights we're going to leave for the next episode, but at least I want to do some of the basic encounters at the beginning of the place. So like I said, it's kind of a death zone. This is the real deal, so we're going to need to buff up significantly. Let's actually start with some animate buffs here. We're just going to get everything to Senashira. She's definitely going to need Secret Word. What am I talking about? Death Ward and Chaotic Commands. I'm slowly going insane thinking about all of the different things we have to do here in preparation for this Beholder Hive. There was also this project image that we're going to use solely for some buffs here. We're going to give her that spirit armor. We're not going to buff up her protection from fire. There's a certain plan behind that to trigger her contingency. And we are going to use this improved haste. I still kept one, just because we're not going to be playing any games here. Like, in this place, you know, we're not going to give any chances to the beholders. And now she's going to need a spell shield. Well, our spell was not disrupted. Projected image, what are you talking about? And now we don't need you anymore. So let's get rid of it quickly, so that Edwin can move again. And here we are not really going to pre-buff anyone else too much. We're just going to give ourselves these mirror images and release our little familiar here, so that everyone can go invisible. Because if you remember, one weakness of the beholders is that they cannot see invisible. Although there are, even to that, there are exceptions that we're going to meet. But already at the entrance we are going to be greeted by some beholders, and I'm not going to talk to this familiar to get him back to my inventory already, because we don't want Senashira to become visible. We have a certain plan on how we are going to reveal our characters here. Alright, so for a moment there you could have seen an Elder Orb that would normally be here right at the entrance, but SCS moves it deeper into the place. Alright, and here we are going to kind of position ourselves to quickly overwhelm this guy with damage. like I said, we're not here to play games. Like this is some serious stuff here. And we're going to reveal Seneshria first. She is protected with Spell Shield, so once they unleash their anti-magic rays on her, we're going to perhaps reveal our other characters. I'm not sure about that yet. Seneshria with improved haste should be able to deal with this guy no problem. And once he unleashes, hopefully he unleashes the anti-magic ray, we're going to then blind this Beholder with the power word blind that Edwin has. Alright, so let's get to it. Alright, and we might even try to unleash this spell sequencer here. Of course, double saving throw. I expected nothing else from you. Alright, so her spell shield is already dispelled by this guy, unfortunately. So this one could still dispel the other Beholder, but I am going to, I think, blind him. I don't want for him to do anything else. And this one is going to die in a second, I think. Alright, one more hit, and now let's try to unleash that power word blind here. Alright, so this guy is blinded now, and the other Beholder didn't manage to dispel him. So now we are going to just take care of him from range. Alright, boom. And actually, like I said, we're not here to play games. We are going to load MON with some even better ammo, which I should have done before we hit this Beholder. Beholders cannot be stunned, so that was kind of a waste. Anyway, now we are going to get our familiar back to our inventory. And before we totally run out of time, I think I'm going to do one more encounter here. And I'm going to keep Seneshria back, because I don't want her contingency to trigger by accident. Because like I said, even I think if some of the hits get absorbed by Stoneskin and deal no damage, I think this contingency is still going to be able to trigger. And I kind of have a plan for that. Alright, so here there's a fight between some drow guys and a Beholder, and I'm going to stay out of it. They are going to kill this Beholder before... Well, there is a chance that we would be able to snipe the experience for it, but I don't even want a chance for this Beholder to look at us. So we're just going to allow them to deal with him. Alright, and now we can just go in, and with physical damage we will be able to overwhelm them. Unfortunately, with their high magic resistance... Actually, I should have switched Jaheira's armor here. I can at least switch her helmet. We're not going to need the fire resistance on her, and we can give the better shield to Animen. He at least has the proper armor. Yeah, with their high magic resistance, the damage from MON, the lightning and fire components, are not going to really work, probably most of the time, but we have a lot of these bolts, so we can well, you know what, actually let's give her the +2 bolts here to improve her Thaco a little bit. Alright, Animan is just twitching because he cannot get in range of this guy, and that's why we're so terrible at dealing damage here. And these guys were, I think, petrified? Yeah, by... This one was, I guess, stunned. For some reason, although Beholders cannot typically stun, but he is immobilized in some way, and this guy was petrified, so we lost some experience there. Oh, come on, guys, just deal with them. You can do much better than what you're doing here. Useless weapon. Alright, now we can get rid of this guy. And this one is just going to explode here. Boom. Anyway. There are some loot stashes here, and there's a very significant one a little bit later on the eastern side of the dungeon. But here we're just going to check our quick loot to get some good potions. And I think we're not going to get anything else to sell. Here we're fine. Alright, and I think I'm going to cut this here, because we're right about to do some major encounters with some special types of Beholders. And we're also, I think, severely over time. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.